Hello, hello. It's your favorite witches back again.
Hello, and welcome to another podcast episode.
This podcast is called, what's it called? Hang on.
It's quite a long title. I like it.
It's called the Release Survival Guide. So we've done the tour survival guide. This is the Release Survival Guide.
The extended title of this podcast is 7 Practical Steps of How Not to Feel Like Shit on Release Day. Yeah. Has that ever happened to you?
That's never happened to me.
It never happened to me. But anyway, let's dive in because we're trying to do a short and snappy one for those of you who might feel like they're a bit overwhelmed and don't have a lot of time. So yeah, let's dive straight in. But first of all, Hannah, how are you doing?
I am good, thank you. Yeah, life in Spain is very nice. It's still lovely weather here. I'm working towards my trip back to England in October, where we're going to be doing lots of exciting Hana Piranha things. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So most of my focus at the moment is practicing for that and preparing for some shoots and stuff like that. So yeah.
I am all right. Yeah, I've been very busy. I'm going away in a few days for a holiday. So I'm very, very excited to sleep somewhere on a beach for 6 days. But yeah, I've got that pre-holiday thing where you're just trying to get everything done in a massive rush and suddenly everyone wants everything. So it's a bit like, but my day today cleared up a little bit and I thought, you know what I'd like to do is just hang out with my bestie and make a podcast. So I texted Hannah and here we are. This is a very impromptu one, but I'm glad you said yes because it's what I need right now. So yeah, so I'm good. Better for seeing your lovely face.
Yes, I'm better for seeing yours too. This is exactly what I needed right now as well. So
yeah. Cool. Well, Hannah and I are pretty good at hyping each other up. So we've been through many a release plan together and had to be each other's hype man for many things. So I guess this is kind of like going to be a pretty good one. So should we start off, Hannah, with the intro?
Yes. So today we have a release, which is our second single from our Bitch House album for RS. Can finally reveal the title, Bitch House. And this song's called Welcome to the Bitch House. And today is the premiere of a music video that we made with Aaron West. And do you know what? I'm not even bothered. Are you bothered?
Not really. I hadn't really thought about it until Simon texted me and I was like, oh shit, yeah, we've got a thing. Do you know what? I'm not bothered, but it's quite a sexy video.
It is, yeah.
And that's the only thing I'm slightly bothered about when you release something that's just a little bit raunchy. There's always an extra element of like, whoops, you know?
Yeah. I guess there's an extra thing of like, it's definitely going to divide people.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
I think we've had a lot of videos like that where it's been a little bit like, just been a bit extreme in one way or another. And it's like, I'm not only kind of letting myself really show with this release, but I was maybe providing a bit too much information.
Yeah, like when you say show, it's like, yeah, that's definitely the word. Me and Hannah are definitely showing on this video, shall we say. But yeah, I think there's just always an extra element of that, isn't it? But I think we just went full kinky because it served the song. And, you know, I think like we've kind of gone for the sort of like American Horror Story sort of thing, I think, but like kind of sexy at the same time. So yeah, so I'm not bothered by it, but I am interested to see people's reactions. I imagine the Christians are going to have a bit of problems with this one, you know, if we've got any Christian fans, which we probably don't. But yeah, I mean, last time for the AI thing, we got a bit of hate, so we were shameful. I wonder what this one's going to be. We shall see.
We shall see. You know, if you want 5 minutes or so of witchy greatness and with a bit of nudity involved, yeah, absolutely. then go check out our new release. It's called Welcome to the Bitch House. And it's from our side project RS. And our album is going to be out in less than a month now, I think, about 3 weeks' time. So
yeah.
So I think this is like probably like I think it's like our 1,000th release.
Maybe. Yeah, it feels like that. I mean, like 1001. Yeah, I feel like that old as well. So that seems about right. Yeah. So basically, this podcast is perfect because we're a few weeks, you know, away from the album dropping and everything's done. And now we're kind of just doing all the social media scheduling. So Hannah and I thought we would unpack this short and speedy podcast with 7 steps of release schedule and how not to feel shit.
So Mish, why do release days feel so shit?
That's an excellent question, Hannah. Well, as an artist, we are half ego and half crippling self-doubt. And I think once the ego bit of writing the album has kind of gone and done, and you've done your mastering and you've got all your artwork and you've got everything together, the creeping doubt starts to come in. And I think release days can make you feel really, really shit because there's a huge climax of like all this work and all these songs and energy and everything and loads of money. And then the release comes out. And because we live on the internet, it just kind of goes boop. and feels like a little water droplet in a massive sea of algorithms and streaming platforms and everything. And I think really we don't feel that massive release. You might do a launch party, which kind of is cool and adds to it, but that's also incredibly draining. So by the time the release comes out, you're totally drained. You're probably skinned. All the doubts crept back in because you've far past the creative stage now and you're kind of into the social media slog. So really, this is like the peak time for artists to have like what can be quite a horrible time during your release, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. And I know we've all had a bit of a horrible time, you know, throughout the years. We're veterans at it now, but, you know, yeah, I've definitely had some really savage release days, as we've talked about in previous podcasts. And you know, we've got like, you know, our friend Catherine Elms, she's on her second album release now, and she's had, I think, a really savage first album release. And we know other people who are still really struggling with it. So yeah, these are 7 steps, just really practical steps for the busy musician. Hopefully you can get this podcast out again any release day, half an hour in the morning, and hopefully it helps motivate you for your day and minimize the savagery that can go with it. So number 1 is manage your social media mindfully. And I thought we should put this first because social media is like the main thing with a release. That's what makes you feel shit or not. That's the thing that's mirrored back to you. That's kind of you integrating with the world in terms of this release. So I think creating a social media plan is really, really important. We're really lucky. We've got Simon who does this for us, and he always creates these insane promo schedules, spreadsheets and stuff. And he sets specific times to do Instagram posts or Facebook posts or stuff like that. So if you've got a Simon, fantastic. If you don't, think about the best times of day to do each of these posts and stagger them as well. I think another really important thing is limit your social media use. Treat it like a job. Go on there to do your post, to check comments and respond to them. Also, think about the kind of responses you will have for various comments. I think it's a really good thing to even let AI help you a little bit, you know, to help you craft worded responses for any really nice comments you might have. I think that's important because one thing I do, which is a bit shit, is I'll post and then never check comments.
Which is kind of a healthy boundary, but I guess, yeah, like be prepared to check on your comments as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's important. And it's just, you know, respectful to your fans and all of those people who have taken the time to listen to it. So do create time to interact. But yeah, I think just really be boundaried with your time on social media and your like interactions and stuff during the day, and know when it's enough and when to actually step away from social media. And I think, you know, you kind of know that when you start to feel quite jittery and anxious around all of it. So yeah, sometimes you just need to like forget the plan entirely and just be like, I really need space from all this right now.
Definitely.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Just that social media doesn't represent like what your audience is necessarily is a really good reminder. So yeah, just to know that once you've done, as Hannah said, it's a really good idea to treat that like a job. Log in, do your thing, check your comments, and then just log out and leave it. And I would actually try to integrate a bit of you time during those posts as well. So like maybe listen to some new albums while you're doing your social media, or just to sort of unplug from it. So do an activity that unplugs you from the social media and maybe feeds your creativity, because this is the time where your creativity can be at an all-time low because you're so depleted from all of the push. So I think it's a good idea to try and make sure you're doing feminine activities like listening to music, maybe taking a bath, and just being really, really kind to yourself. And remember that like you're your own boss, like well done you. Make the boss say like well done, because no one else is really going to say it to you. So, you know, when you do all those stuff and you've got there, remember to post and then be like, well done, that was really good, you know, like a boss would. And that's what I would suggest.
That's such a good point. Yeah, I love that. Just trying to appreciate like the time that you've spent doing this and to give yourself the recognition for that. I think that's really important. You know, just even like, this might sound a bit weird, but like for every comment you get, say you get a negative comment, why don't you give yourself a comment and be like, my review is this is excellent.
Yeah, no, but I know what you mean. It's having that person there to be like your hype man. Like me and Hannah have each other to do that, but maybe you're doing this completely on your own. It's really, really rough. Don't let social media be the mirror. So like what's really going on. People are listening to your music because you put it out there. It doesn't matter how busy your social media platform is, you know. Most people are consuming music on streaming platforms. You're never going to hear from them. It's not really up to us to create buzz on social media. It's up to us to just write the great music. which brings us nicely on to step 2, which is set realistic expectations. So this is really, really important. I think when you put out the release, it's very common that artists think, I'll put it out and then I'm going to get all of this buzz like immediately, or, you know, they're going to get loads of streams on the album. It's really good to remember that most releases don't explode overnight, and sometimes they can take months or years to really build. And even sometimes like a track could be sitting dormant for ages and then suddenly it gets picked up by something. You just don't know what's going to happen. So really, I wouldn't try and put the energy into it that this album's going to change everything. What you need to do is see this album as another rung on the ladder. You've created a lovely foundation. Now you need to build on that foundation. It is not the be all and end all, this album. This is just a step to the next place. And I think if you can remember that, it'll really help. And setting yourself realistic expectations, maybe write how many streams you'd like to receive, maybe write down how many YouTube things you'd like to receive, and try and make that a target that's realistic, because then when you smash those targets, you'll be really happy with yourself, rather than feeling this empty void of, but did I do enough? You'll never feel like you do enough unless you make those expectations really, really clear to yourself. Defining what success really means for the release, you know, if for you it's just selling a few CDs, then great. If that's, I need to get this amount of streams on YouTube, or if this is, I really want to get reviewed in this particular magazine, write out these things and see how many of them you're getting. And again, just setting realistic expectations if you're early on in your career. And then a really important one for this final point is just prepare for the emotional come down after months of build up. Again, just being really, really kind to yourself. It's okay to feel shit. Like, that's normal. Like, don't freak out if you're like, oh my God, I'm so depressed right now, but I've just put out my album, I should be over the moon. No. It's completely normal to feel like really, really low during these times. So Hannah, have you anything to add to step 2?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I just wanted to maybe suggest a practical thing as well, in terms of defining what success actually means and reframing that as well. I would suggest a gratitude diary.
Oh yeah, definitely.
5 points, 5 things you're grateful for in relation to this release. I'm really, really reframing this, because a lot of people can go into their release with a lack mentality. And I really suggest going in with a mentality of gratitude. I think that will make your mental state so much better.
Definitely. I know that Kath shared a really lovely reel recently, Catherine Elms, that was like things I'm grateful for that happened during my release. And she put like number 1, I didn't have a mental breakdown. I was like, yes, Kath. And then I know that somebody else commented and they were like, wow, that's never happened to me, you know. And it was just such a lovely way of bonding with other musicians. And I just thought that was a really, really cool thing to do. It was such a wonderful way to celebrate her album release, as you say, like with a different attitude rather than like, what can I get? It's great.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, this is kind of a practical step, but planning your day structure. You know, this is kind of along the same lines of the social media planning, except this is really planning your time and keeping yourself kind of on track with just a normal day, so that you're not just, because for me, one of the things that really affects my mental health is when I get swept away with one task during the whole day. And then my routines go to shit and all of that stuff. And I feel like release day should not be a day, definitely not, where you get swept away with just the one task the whole day. Like, I think it's really important to keep your routines and keep the daily things that you do to support your mental health, to also just keep your life on track, and also like the aspect of your, you know, your career on track. So like, you know, don't stop practicing just because it's release day, for example.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that. I'm like, I don't ever have to practice again. Yay. And then like 3 months later, I'm like, shit, I have to tour the album now and I haven't learned any of the parts. And so, yeah, that's a really, really good point. And I think, yeah, like having a schedule is just really handy, because you can just go into it quite cold. Like, no matter how you're feeling, if you've just got a certain amount of things that you need to do, you can just get them done. And then they're done. You don't have to then think about it again. So like, instead of going on social media and like refreshing all the time, or just checking on like how many streams and stuff like that, just do a certain amount of time and then just log out and do, as you say, like other tasks that just keep your routine, you know, normal activities and stuff. One thing I was going to say as well with planning your day structure. So let's just say this is your like release schedule week. Try not to fill it all with like the same type of posting and social media and stuff. Try and mix all of those things up. So maybe on one day you do like an email release, you know, so you share it on your email. The next day you share it to your Bandcamp followers, and the next day you do Instagram, and the next day you do that. If you want to, you can sort of spread it out, so you're not kind of hitting all of these massive things every single day. I would spread out all of the like crap, because I don't really know any artists who love the social media game or love doing the marketing. It's not really like my way. So I think like spreading that stuff out and having like some normal artist activities against those ones is a really good idea. So you're not just bogged down with admin.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And actually, remembering that actually the promo is going to go in waves. Like, not everyone's going to be online on a fucking Friday afternoon, you know? Like, some people might not check it out till Monday, or some people might, you know, just as Mish said, just staggering your output. So maybe you do the YouTube premiere on Friday, a couple of posts about the single, then on Saturday maybe you share the Spotify link, then on Sunday evening you do the mail out, or, you know, something like that.
Definitely. Yeah, mix it up, and then you won't get so burned out as well, because you won't feel like you're constantly connecting to the same platforms, because they are really draining, all of them. And ChatGPT has been really, really handy for stuff like that as well. Like if you're not somebody who enjoys writing blogs or writing captions, that's okay. Like, don't worry, you're an artist. You're not like you're not an influencer, you know, unless that's also what you do. But yeah, it's totally fine to use these tools and then tweak them and make them. It's just anything that takes the pressure off having to do the promotion all on your own, because I really think that that's the hardest slog, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And use ChatGPT. Like, I did a transcript of our podcast last week and put it into ChatGPT to do a blog, and it did a blog for me probably better than I could have written in about 10 seconds. You know, amazing. This is what we should be using AI for as artists. So just give it the information and be like, write me a mail out, write me an Instagram post, write me a blog, you know, create a little caption for, you know, Spotify or something, you know, like all of this stuff. There's so much assistance out there now to really streamline your day structure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just there to help. You know, you can still make it in your voice, you can tweak it. It's just something that's going to help you with some of the real slog sort of stuff, because otherwise it's just totally exhausting. I mean, I like just being like, here's the song, you know, give you the hashtags. That to me is just an absolute time saver. So I'm not just sitting there for ages trying to come up with hashtags, things like that. It's just really, really handy. So that brings us really nicely onto step 4, which is to prepare your support network. This is a really overlooked one. I'm really glad you brought this up on the list, Hannah, because this is something that I don't really think about that much during releases.
You mean Claude?
Don't tell anyone. Hannah's super. But the support network is really, really helpful, because on release day, you don't really want to be like on your own, and you don't really want to be like kind of doing all this stuff and just not talking to anyone about it. So I think it's really, really good. Like, we have loads of threads on WhatsApp for all of our bands, and then we have one with, like, you know, some female musicians that we're connected to, and each other. And it's just really, really handy to be able to reach out and just say, you know, guys, on this day, first of all, could you help me share it? It's the most important thing. Just text your friends and say, I'm putting this out. You know how hard it is for indie artists to be seen. Can you please not just share it, but also, you know, show me some support, write some comments, and then the group can kind of celebrate together, which is really, really nice. And that's when your friends can kind of come in and be like, you should be so proud, and this is really nice. And just identifying those people out of the people that you don't want to talk to, who might be critical, or just anyone really who's going to be a bit exhausting during this time. And that doesn't mean like you shouldn't receive criticism. Like, you're going to get criticism, and that can be really helpful. But maybe there's some people in your group that maybe you're just not ready to receive that right now when you're vulnerable. So think about which friends to do what jobs. You know, maybe the friend that tells it like it is can be like a day 7 support network or something, you know, after you've received some, like, I'm only joking, no one does that, but you know what I mean? Just, you know, there might be somebody that's just maybe a little bit like too much for the energy of that week, and maybe you just need people who are really calming and influencers. Maybe you've got some friends you do calming activities with, and just people who, you know, you can rely on to sort of like hype you up. So definitely prepare your support network around you, reach out to them and just tell them what you need. And if you're feeling shit, just tell them. No one's going to judge you on your release day if you're feeling shit. It's not like all fun and games, is it? It's like lonely and heavy. So share it with your support network.
Yeah, definitely. This goes without saying probably, but tag everyone who's been involved with it. Whenever you do posts out, tag the producer, tag the person who's mastered it, tag your bandmates, tag the location, whoever has kind of had a hand in this along the process. Just remember that this isn't just your creation, and that should be an encouraging thought, you know, that actually there's been a lot of people around the way who have believed in this enough to make it happen. And by tagging these people, you can just remember exactly how many people you have to be grateful for this release and how many people have believed in you.
Such a good point. Definitely.
Step 5 is create healthy distractions. So this is kind of similar to step 3 of planning your day structure, but it's a little bit different because I think that a release day is a different day from a normal day. So it's not just always going to be business as normal. I suggest finding things to do that are a little bit different from an ordinary day, things that give you joy and kind of treats. I would recommend filling my day with treats. Like I would celebrate probably with eating a bar of chocolate, or I don't know, or like taking the afternoon off to watch an episode of something that I've been putting off, something like that, like things that you wouldn't do in a normal day. And actually, I listened to a podcast recently that I love this. I took this thing away I love, which is she has a higher self day every month.
Nice.
Where she like wears the clothes her higher self would do. She does the activities, she does all of this stuff. And I feel like maybe a release day could be a higher self day. That's where you can do all the things that you think that your best self would do. Just making sure that you've got things throughout your day to make you feel good that aren't the release.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's like one of the most important ones, as well as the support network, I would say, is the healthy distractions. And I heard of this thing recently, again, on another podcast where somebody called it like a treasure hunt, where they just go out and they just see what treasure they can find. And maybe that's like just window shopping and having a look at like a beautiful, shop window, or, what other treasure can I find? I went for a walk and I saw this beautiful plant, or I heard this beautiful song, or I saw some graffiti, or I saw a positive message, and just looking for things that are not necessarily, that just nothing to do with this whole like release thing, but just something where you're actually starting to feed the artist's creativity again. And I think that can make you feel really good on release day, because I always feel like when you're in the momentum of creation, you feel good. It's only when that stops that things start to slack a little bit. So I think it's really important to stimulate the artist side of yourself, who maybe is a bit burned out, not with something that's like you must keep writing or you must do stuff, but just really just kind of remaining open for some signs from the universe that you're kind of on track and just enjoying what's around you, a bit like what you were saying about the gratitude. But yeah, try go for a treasure hunt if you can, and it's a nice day outside, and you don't have a winter release where you just want to hide. I feel like on Eris release, I'm just going to go for a little mushroom hunt. That's what I'm going to do.
I think that sounds amazing. Yeah, I would suggest as just a practical thing to do in terms of healthy distractions is do an hour's breathwork video, something like that like actually literally changes your physical state and just makes you feel better regardless of your mental state.
Yeah, it's definitely grounding. I think if it's something that you can get access to, this guy on YouTube who we're all in love with called Sandy, Breathe with Sandy. He's just brilliant, and he's not bad looking as well. So just put that out. If you need a healthy distraction. No, I'm kidding. Can I say that? I don't know if I can say that.
Yes,
but anyway.
Yes.
Okay. Bitch house rules. But anyway, doing a breathwork video will definitely ground you and bring you into the present moment. If that's too much for you, like I suggest physical movement, as Hana was saying, do stuff that kind of make you feel good. And also, one of my favorite things to do on release day is work on another fucking project. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been like, this project feels really, really heavy. I need to move to the other one and just do that. Like, I love doing that, because then I sort of feel like the momentum is continued and you can let go a little bit of the weight of one of them and just move to the other. I don't know if people out there are in multiple projects, but certainly I would recommend, if you can, if you are doing multitasks, maybe you're not just a full-time musician, maybe you're doing other work or you're doing other creative stuff or anything at all, but really a great way to get through release is to work on another project, because it just feels like then the momentum is continued, and that one's doesn't really matter what happens to this one because this one is moving, and then you can go between them. I think that's a really healthy way to get through it. If work is kind of your release, then that's a really good tip.
That's a brilliant tip.
Step 6 is, I love this, document the journey. So this is quite cool. I don't think I've ever done this, but I'm definitely going to start to do this. It's to, document your little wins, basically. Take screenshots of your comments. I've seen people do reels where they've screenshotted all the comments and released it, and it's really, really nice. Journal your feelings, the good bits and the bad bits, and you can, if you want to, create a release day time capsule. So everything that kind of happened on that day, maybe you've got the physical copy, maybe you've got some beautiful photos, like print them all out, put them in a book or put them in a box, and then that box can be your release day time capsule. And then you know, when you get bits of press releases, you can print them out, you can stick them on it and all that kind of stuff. But everything that happens with that release, it's really, really good to document it, because I think we just fall into the habit of like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Where's the next comment? Where's the next experience from this release? And it's really important to just stop, take a moment and just look how far you've come. I mean, me and Hannah have like a book of, I don't know what it is, like positive affirmations or something. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the book of truth, you know. It's like, well, it is true that we did release an album. We can say that, you know, and just trying to just focus on what we've done and not like the massive mountain of what's left to do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, especially like when you go further through your career and you get like a bunch of blogs who always hype you up and stuff like that, you know, and that's your press. Collect your press clippings. Like, like I remember on my Toxic release, there were so many people who said lovely things. And again, it's about seeing the gratitude, you know, but like there were so many people who said lovely things that I did exactly this. And like, I just remember looking through my book a few months later and someone had called me a natural born rock star. It was just like, yeah.
So you never remember that. You don't document that, you know. That's just a comment that you're like, oh, that feeds me for today. And then like, what's the next? Whereas if you write it down, like that feeds you for life, you know.
But it kind of ties into your thing that you said last podcast of the portfolio of proof.
That's right. Yeah, such a good tip. I got that from somebody else's podcast, but I love that. The portfolio of proof. It's just it's like an absolute must when it comes to like a long career in music, because you're going to have some real ups and you're going to have real downs, and it's impossible to remember any of the ups when you're down. Like it's like they don't even exist. So you can open that up and be like, you know what, I am a natural born rock star. Oh yeah. Yeah. The other comment that I think I'll never forget that somebody said about you is that if Jimi Hendrix played the violin, I was like, fuck me, you can't you can't come down from that. That's just like, let's just make the ego side like this, like so much bigger than the self-doubt, you know. That day the self-doubt was like just washed completely. It was like, I know. Yeah, like anyone who gets compared to Jimi Hendrix is just fucking cool, right?
Yeah, I love that. Probably the best review I've had.
So cool.
Okay, plan your post-release ritual.
Nice.
Again, this is like a little bit like the distractions thing and the day thing, but I think this should all be separate points, because the things you do on this day will so affect your mental health and how you feel around your release. So I really think ending the day intentionally is a really good tip, acknowledging what you've accomplished and kind of planning for the next week really, and setting boundaries like around when you're going to check social media, because you know it can be really great to set the plan for that day and to create boundaries, but actually this is like not just a short-term thing. This is something that could really make you feel low for the next week or two unless you deal with this mindfully. So I think maybe at the end of the day, journaling how you felt during the day, journaling what's made you feel good, what's made you feel bad, and what you're going to take from that to the next week. I think that that's a really good way to end the day. What do you think?
Definitely. Yeah, I think with all these points that it's a lot for one day, and I would almost suggest that your post-release ritual, I don't know what you think about this, Hannah, but maybe that should be something that happens after a week of the release. Do you know what I mean? Just because there's so much in these points that I feel like they're kind of like quite close together for one day, whereas I would maybe spread a lot of these things across like the first week. So it's like the release, but spread everything not just across one day, but across like a week or 2 weeks. And then maybe at the end of that time, have some kind of post-release ritual that's like, okay, I'm now tying this up and I've done it. So you've sort of got like the initial burst, you've got your schedule, you've got your distractions, you've got your support network. And then you just keep going through all of this, documenting your journey as you go. And then there's got to be some kind of post-release ritual. I mean, I love just lighting a fire in the garden and burning a bunch of stuff that I'm letting go of as like an end ritual for something, you know, especially like on a new moon or a full moon, because you've sort of like reached this point. It can be a really good thing to do something that actually feels a bit magic. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I love the idea that actually your release isn't just the one day, because it can be like, say, I don't want to compare it to a bereavement, but like if you have something happen in your life that's like a big thing that really affects you emotionally, you know, like the first day is when people are going to bring the casserole, right? But then like with the release, metaphorically, that's the day when your friends are going to bring the casserole. But actually, you know, the waves of a release can really hit you emotionally for much longer than the day itself. So I think that's brilliant actually doing your action plan for the release, maybe a period of 1-2 weeks, whatever, even a month if it's an album, you know, that's a huge thing. And I love the idea of doing something really ritualistic at the end of it.
Yeah, I think it just helps close that chapter as well, doesn't it? And then everything that you do after that, it's like, yeah, it's carried on, but you've also kind of released something really big into the world. I actually love that you've compared album releases to funerals. I mean, like, that's so goth that actually, like, that really works for me, because I really think that sometimes when you let go of an album, it's not like it dies, but it does feel a little bit like something's been lost because it's finally outside and then it's gone from you, and then it kind of goes into the world and it leaves you, and it does feel a little bit sometimes like you grieve. I really like that comparison because I think like the waves of it do go on forever, and although there can be a lot of celebration, there can also be like quite a lot of pain, especially if you're an artist that writes from a very emotional point of view. And there's some albums that, like, oh my god, I go back and I'm like, I can't even listen to this anymore. So sometimes it is good to just be like, yes, I've achieved something, but I'm also letting something really heavy go. And yeah, some kind of post-release ritual for that, definitely. I mean, if you want to get inspiration for a post-release ritual, just watch our latest music video, Welcome to the Bitch House, and you get some ideas, some very good ideas, I think, for a post-release.
Or just any ritual. Maybe, you know, a love spell. I mean, that brought love to the end of it.
Oh, so much love. Yeah. Love and terror.
We will be talking about, you know, sometimes the closeness that comes with.
Oh yeah. We've got a few juicy episodes coming up for you, actually. We've got one about the closeness with your bandmates, which can get really intense as the years go by. We've got a special guest coming up soon to be revealed, and we've got loads in the bank.
So just to quickly recap all of these steps, firstly, just a blanket point, which I think is a brilliant one that Mesh said, is actually these steps don't all need to be done in one day. Like, maybe you should be thinking longer term about your coping strategies for your release. So this could even be over 2 weeks or even longer. So 7 steps. Step 1, manage your social media mindfully. 2, set realistic expectations. Step 3, plan your day structure. Step 4, prepare your support network. Step 5, create healthy distractions. Step 6, document the journey. And step 7, plan your post-release ritual. So those are our suggestions for looking after your mental health around a release.
And also, if you have just put out an album or you're about to, well fucking done. It's one of the hardest things I think to do, like, ever, is be a musician and release music off your own back. It's an insane job. It's like 10 people's job in one, and with no money. So honestly, if you've done that, just well done. Like, honestly, that's a huge achievement, and it does get easier. Just keep going, one foot in front of the other, and don't forget to reach out if you need help. We are also here. If anyone needs support during album release, just let us know. We will try and help as much as we can with some top tips. And thank you for listening to our release survival guide.
Brilliant.
Okay, so our question of the week is, what is the biggest curveball you've had to face during a release? I will go first. I know for a fact, as somebody that gets a lot of things done very quickly, sometimes I can like overlook stuff. It's a very common theme for me that I try to slow down, but generally I do make quite a few mistakes. That's just part of me, I'm afraid. But sometimes that's happened on release schedule stuff, and I've accidentally uploaded like the wrong master to a streaming platform, and then the record came out, and then I realized a few days later after its release that I'd uploaded the wrong master, and I was absolutely devastated. I sort of had to just let it go, to be honest, which was really difficult, because the alternative to it would have been we'd have to take it off the platform and then re-upload it, and by then we'd done all the social media, all the press, like everything, and it just would have totally tanked. But I was absolutely gutted because the real version was so much better than the one that got uploaded. So I was really like upset with myself. But I just think sometimes things happen like that, and you just have to, again, see it as a job. Like, when you put out music, you can't do everything perfectly all the time. And I know artists forever, but also you'll make more art, and sometimes just not be hard on yourself if something's gone up and it's wrong, or there's a clip in your video which wasn't supposed to be there, or you've accidentally got, like, God forbid, the artwork on your CD text wrong or something like that. Like, it's okay. It is a job at the end of the day, and everyone else is making mistakes in their jobs too. So I think that's really important to say, that people who work at printer companies and big corporate companies make massive mistakes that cost like thousands, you know, all the time. It just happens. It's part of it. Don't beat yourself up because you're doing a job that really you kind of shouldn't be doing. You're supposed to be writing the music, but because we're now also shoved into doing the entire business, I just think that it's really worth saying you're going to make mistakes. It's okay, like we have, and we're okay, and we still made it through, and we're here still making music, and no one really is going to care as much as you are. So try not to feel bad about it.
Yeah, totally. And I love your point as well about people on huger companies or huger platforms making mistakes that are way more catastrophic. Like, at least as a DIY artist, if you're doing everything yourself, the only person it will really affect is you, which I think is quite comforting.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, who's the boss? Oh, it's you. You know what I mean? So, you know, you just have to be kind to yourself and imagine that you are the boss, and then like an employee who maybe it's not really their job to have done this, made a mistake, and then you can be like, it's okay. This is what you're going to learn, and then you won't make that mistake again.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you?
We had a release of one of our singles one time, like a standalone single, and we had a gig on the same day. And like the gig itself was really well attended and stuff, but there were these two like absolute energy vampires at the gig at that point who were just really toxic. And that's hard because it's easy to protect yourself over social media and set clear boundaries there. But when it's in real life, that can be really, really tough. You know, it made me feel anxious. Like, I remember this guy came and he was like, oh, were you expecting this many people? And it was like a full room. And I'd been feeling really good about it. And then all of a sudden I was like, am I just a massive failure? And the thing is, you can't set boundaries for this because like you've invited people in to share this experience. And unfortunately, like there are going to be people like that. And for this gig as well, I had a very drunk friend who caused absolute chaos. I think that's like the biggest kind of curveball I've had with releases is just personal stuff and real life situations that can be really difficult. I feel like if you're going through a similar thing, if you've got a gig or if you've got some really toxic people in your life who you can't really get away from that easily, these steps are really great because especially just stuff like planning your post-release ritual, you know, like what are you going to do when you get home from the gig? And I think that really, really helps things, you know, just being aware and kind of steeling yourself for the fact that you're going to some people like this be coming to your sphere.
Yeah. And just normalizing the fact that you're going to be quite vulnerable during this time. That's normal. You're not like extra sensitive. You're not, you know, not coping with it. You're not being small or any of these things that are popping into your head. You're just being an artist, which is a really, really tough thing to do. Yeah, the in-person comments and gigs can be incredibly draining anyway, but on a release day, that's like everything's just going to be very, very intense, isn't it? So yeah, prepare yourself for those intensities. And make sure you've got a slice of cake and some pajamas waiting for you when you get back, you know?
Absolutely. All right, we're on to the weekly whinge.
Yeah. Have you got a whinge this week, Hannah?
Yeah, I do actually. So as you know, so my place I'm staying in Spain, it's all like pre-decorated and pre-furnished and stuff. And the room I'm using as my music room is actually decorated as a nursery. This is such a whinge. I mean, Jesus, like it's such a fucking, you know, first world problems, but
that's why it's a whinge. Otherwise it would be a
whinge.
Complaint, but it's not a complaint, it's a whinge, you know. Safe space.
It's such a whinge. It's kind of like, you know, hard to get into the gothic headspace where my walls are baby pink and baby green. That's my whinge. It's such a whinge, but
I mean, that is bomb colors. Like, how are you supposed to be a natural born rock star in baby pink and pale green? That's not cool, you know, like it must be chipping away at you at night, you know.
And I've got this sculpture of Jesus hanging in the wall, but it's basically Jesus as the Venus de Milo. It's so weird. There's all this like Jesus decor around the house.
I think you need to do a post with all of the horrible things in the house.
Okay, this is gonna happen. I'm gonna do a post on Wingspan podcast.
Yeah.
The hardships that I have to deal with in my life.
I know. Honestly, at least you can escape to one of the terraces, you know.
That's true. Yeah. All right. What's your whinge?
My whinge is that I appear to be too old to use a phone now. And basically, like, I swear I used to be like quite good at texting and typing and stuff. And now, honestly, like, it's like my thumbs just stopped in the year 2000 or something, you know, and they just don't like, I try and type stuff and it just comes out as like, ooh, oi. And I'm like, that's not what I said. I said, hi, Hannah, how are you? Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm just got a bit too old for these newfangled mobile. It gets to the point where, and it started to, you open it and it doesn't recognize your face because you're so tired that morning. I basically just feel like I can't really operate a phone anymore. I just keep opening up apps and, doing stuff that's just not happening, or I'm calling someone in my pocket. I feel like I'm not really cut out for the future is my whinge.
Do you feel like you swear a lot at technology as well? I feel like that's when you're old, is like, it's the technology's fault.
Right. Yeah. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, and then I'm like, oh shit. That's like an old person thing, But I just try and text stuff and it just comes out as absolute nonsense. And I'm like, I swear, like I used to just type like that before and it works. And now it just doesn't read my thumbs. Do you ever do that thing where you try and text the same word and 4 times you write the wrong one? I've got granny thumbs. That's my whinge. I've got thumbs from the year 1999. They're not working anymore.
Yeah, I feel you as well.
I know, you get me.
We can be grandmas together. It's fine.
Great. Can't wait.
That was a short and sweet podcast. I hope you find it helpful, and hopefully it's one that you can go back to and refresh yourselves with every release day.
Thank you for listening, guys. And don't forget to leave us a comment because it makes the podcast grow. And thanks. See you next time.
See you next time.